that. And that particular model now is active in 4 different U.S. states, largely because of a partnership with the province of New Brunswick to take that particular solution on the road. It's a noteworthy initiative because in Canada we have these really high-profile events called the Canadian Information Productivity Awards, and we won one for that, so we were particularly pleased. But it's a classic example of how you can take advantage of a fairly small company, take advantage of some good intellectual property, and with a partnership with a government and with a region, are able to take that option into the United States. So we are now, as I said, in the state of Maine, the state of Virginia, the state of New Hampshire, and we have a rich pipeline in excess of $50 million in other states, because as luck would have it, it certainly wasn't our knowledge at the outstart. 28 of 50 jurisdictions in the United States apparently are replacing their information systems over the next little while. So Chorus is particularly interesting. Partnering strategy, I just use that as an example. We partner with Microsoft, clearly, because of Microsoft technologies. You'd expect that. But the other thing that we've really worked hard to do is to embed the best of Canada in there with us, smaller companies who have done very credible things and who need a channel to their markets. And while we may not be large on a multinational scale, to them we are large. And we have the connection points to be able to take them in. So we use voice biometrics software from a little company out of Nova Scotia in Canada, as well as some pieces from another company out of Newfoundland. We've embedded that in the voice biometrics aspects of the corrections application. So partnering for us is in many ways a virtuous circle, both big and small, all come together to make things work. I think maybe I'll just now turn to the relationship that I have within ITAC. We'll move then away from simply discussing my company and shift to talk about the ITAC organization. ITAC is the industry association for Canada's software, hardware, telecommunications services, microelectronics, and electronic content industry. I'll give you a sense of scope. We've been advocates for more substantive deployment of outsourcing strategies by Canadian businesses for some time. And we've also campaigned for a national strategy to ensure that many of the natural advantages present in Canada, particularly for the nearshore marketplace, into the United States, are converted into economic opportunity. Just a statistic for you that came from a highly credible market research organization in Canada, the Branham Group of companies, that would have aggregated all of the business that is subject to outsourcing out of the United States at something like $694 billion, growing at 9% per year. About $105 billion of that in this calculation is already captive within the Indian marketplace. It's interesting to note that even though Canada has the proximity and adjacency to that market, Canada's share of that $694 billion is $15 billion. So we have a long way to go. And the industry association is doing its best to position Canada for that and to create that awareness. This advocacy for outsourcing led us into a closer relationship with NASSCOM just 2 years ago. And we had a very small delegation here last year. This year we have double that number, but it's still very small. And, but I can tell you it's mighty. So I'm very pleased to say that we are larger, and we are looking then for those partnership opportunities. Canada has clear natural advantages in the marketplace. Cultural and business practices align closely with those of American clients. We have a stable economy and very well-educated workforce. At nearly 7% of GDP, Canada ranks first among G7 countries for education spending, and we have the highest percentage of college and university graduates in the world, well known for companies like Nortel and RIM. But also important for R&D organizations for the likes of companies like IBM, Xerox, Ericsson, and many others who do a lot of their R&D in the Canadian marketplace. Close to 600,000 people work in ICT alone for a population which is 30 times smaller than that of this country. And we also have enjoyed a generally lower wage rate than the United States, and this cost advantage has, until recently, been enriched by favorable current exchange rates. We share a border, congruence of language and culture, and a common framework of business practices and laws with the United States. And in addition to this, we have a long history of trade with the United States. But we are also distinct from the United States. We have an equally long history of rich relationships within the Commonwealth. Our government institutions, our principles of law, and our government processes derive from the same sources as those of India. And we offer a highly educated, competitively priced workforce that proudly reflects the diversity of a very multicultural society. An interesting fact, the United States can claim 2.5 million citizens of Indo-American background. Canada has 1 million, and yet our population is 30 times less than the United States. So we clearly have an affinity and should be working more closely together. Just a quick reference to Toronto. There's a contingent here from Toronto that are obviously letting everyone know about Toronto. You may not know it, but Toronto boasts a large number of those Indo-Canadian community. And that fact was recently recognized by the producers of the Bollywood blockbuster Guru, who, now get this, elected to stage the world premiere of their film in Toronto. It opened in New York a few days later. Scooped. It was an event as glittering and exciting as any film premiere in Hollywood or Mumbai. Not only is the Indo-Canadian community large and boisterous, it's also obviously prosperous, easily filling the Elgin Theatre with ticket prices as high as $500 a seat. So they did it. So clearly, and I'll sum up here, we believe that Canada is particularly well suited to serve as a nearshore partner, and in fact, very appropriate that we're speaking here today given the subject matter, and to be a partner to Indian BPOs and outsourcing organizations. There are many leading Indian firms that are already active in the Canadian marketplace. I personally have had involvement with Hexaware and with Satyam, with the Tata Group of Companies, 724, and Prudential Consulting. There are others, and I'd love to mention them. They've already begun their exploration. I think they're wise to do so. The Canadian ICT industry is committed to facilitating the growth of these relationships, and if you're interested, talk to me or talk to any other member of our crew. And I really look forward to any questions we have as we touch down in the Philippines and touch down in Australia and truly understand the global potential for our collaboration. Thank you.